by, alone inside. He's got the breakaway with the touch to the right. Goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's Brandon by. Taking a shot with the left. Goal! Isaac Friend from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Wash your hands and scrub out your ears, folks. This is the People's Pitch Podcast, official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I'm your host, John, and joining me, as always, is the saucy minx that is Nate Morales. Nate, things are weird, pal. Is making this the new normal working out for you?
Yeah, man. I can't say it is. So social distancing is very strange, and it means that everyone is home all the time, and time has no meaning. So
right. That's the worst part of all of this, I think, is because I love my wife and my family, but I work from home normally, but I gotta see some other goddamn people.
Oh, see,
I'm just I'm getting stir crazy. I found myself today picking up kids at daycare and lingering and talking to the teachers who I want nothing to do with besides paying them to take care of my kids.
Yeah,
it's God damn it. I want to be able to talk to people again.
Well, for me, it's so at all times we're basically on top of each other. So you'll probably hear the boy playing Fortnite in the background every once in a while. That's okay.
I mean, hey, it's the new normal. Like I said, I'm on work conference calls and I'm hearing dogs barking and kids fighting, and it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, I bring my baby onto conference calls now. She's on the podcast right now, sleeping.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
just sleeping in my arms, just because that's kind of how you have to manage things around the house a little differently nowadays. But
it takes a village to make a podcast, Nate.
That's right, John. This week we're a little light on topics, as you might imagine. There is literally no sport being played in the world or planned anytime soon, so we're gonna have to put our minds together and figure out what to talk about. And it's been a little hard, to be honest, but we do have things that we can cover. Last week we predicted that we could be without soccer soon, and now we are. So we're going to talk about what other people are doing to fill the time. And one of our own, they are taking the pitch still, and I'm talking about the virtual pitch. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to wrap up the show this week with our first attempt at our call-in show. Listeners have left us voicemails. You called in, we will answer. So I kind of like this thing we're turning into here.
Yeah, I mean,
in the future, it might not be quite as robust. If we have, three calls a week, that's pretty good, and we can answer your soccer questions and shoot the shit, and hopefully we'll, keep you people sane a little bit.
If not, we'll just make shit up like we always do.
Yeah, let's keep the sanity rolling, John. What now?
All right. So, Nate, last week we predicted that there was a chance that sports, as we know it, may be going away, but that has come true. We are super smart. We cracked that code early. But as a result, we will not be playing soccer for the foreseeable future. So the question is, what are people doing with their time? Some trends have kind of started to pop up, which is really interesting to kind of help close the social distance gap. And, they've also, kind of been some things that that are happening in the world of sport that sports are doing as well that I think are of note. So the first is something that I participated in today, actually. And that is the use of Zoom or Hangouts or WebEx to host a virtual happy hour. Today, the coaching staff, we got together. Typically Thursdays when we have a training, and then we get together for beers afterwards. So it's kind of like our day to hang out. So we hopped on the old Google Hangouts for a couple beers, did a little round of World Cup trivia, and I must pat myself on the back. Out of the 10 rounds, I got the high score of 5. So, Nate, what are your thoughts around this sort of thing, and have you partaken in the virtual HH?
Oh yeah. As part of a morale boosting effort, I think that the North American creative department of my agency, from all across North America, so we got offices in different cities, they scheduled a St. Patrick's Day one that started at 5 on St. Patrick's Day, and it did feel kind of weird with the whole family home to just be yep, drinking whiskey in the basement by myself on the video camera with all my coworkers. So that one I did not do, but we do have departmentally and locally a daily creative stand-up meeting, status. That's usually at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and that's when that's when we're just kind of like, you got to stay connected, man. Mm-hmm. So, it's okay to crack a beer and shoot the shit a little bit with people at work. Just take a moment away and take a moment away from the business and stick to the personal,
I did find it, and I still do find it, a tad bit odd that like I am in my basement and I am talking into a computer, drinking alcohol, and I'm still drinking Malone, which is,
that's why I wasn't that into it with all the people from North America. It's like, I'm basically alone.
But
I don't know these people.
I did enjoy it, though, because it was a chance for us to get together, talk some soccer, talk a little bit about what our lives are going to be like potentially in the not too distant future from a city standpoint.
It's important, man.
Yeah, it's super important. And, I think that my main takeaway was that, I kind of feel like our weekly podcast is a virtual happy hour, basically, totally. Because you and I hop on, normally some sort of video conferencing thing, sometimes just audio, drink a couple beers and just shoot the shit. And I think that's kind of what everyone else is doing, but I still find some weirdness in there. So
yeah, totally.
So from a sports perspective, I really like what networks have been doing both on air and online lately, and that's showing old games of interest. I got caught up last night. The NBA has been on a long run of famous playoff games, so I was watching some old Knicks Bulls highlights from the games from the late 90s, and I got totally sunk in. Totally know what the score is. I know who wins. I know all the highlight plays, all the famous plays with Jordan dunking on Patrick Ewing.
It's like watching Titanic again.
Right, or Shawshank. Depending upon which team you're rooting for.
Sure.
But it was great. It was great. I got to see some of the old time top stars of the game. MLS is showing online on MLS Net, or it's MLSnet.com or MLS.com, is showing some great games from the past, including from year one with the crazy shootout rules and playing on like old AstroTurf at the Metrodome. I think this is a pretty cool thing actually, because there's lots of memories that were made in sports, and we talked about a little bit at sports being kind of a great way to have some form of escapism from all the crazy shit that's going on right now. And I think this is a good substitute for that, because you can kind of relive the past a little bit and escape the present. Do you share the same thoughts, Nate, or is it just white noise for you?
Yeah, it's a little, I think if you do it the right way, it breaks through. But if it's, like BN and some of these other networks are just playing like games from earlier this year.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Or like, NBCSN is just playing Premier League games from earlier this year. Like, yeah, I watched those and we know how they turned out, and the drama isn't quite there anymore because Manchester City isn't top of the table. And in fact, Liverpool destroyed, and it's like all the commentary is like totally out of date. But like if for instance, some of this older stuff for you, I like some of these documentaries. There's some cool just stuff on Jurgen Klopp that's been out that I've been watching, that you just start getting sucked. It's the same reason you get sucked into like 30 for 30 on ESPN.
Right.
Like, wow, that's just a quick little clip of some sports bit I didn't know about. Or like, wow, that's a reminder of how cool sports was back in the day. I could use some, well, we'll talk about it in a bit, but there are a few things that I could use to see on TV coming up.
So, from my perspective, I talked a little bit about with Dan, and I just chatting with him throughout the day and just saying like, should we be promoting some of our old games, our old streams, and kind of came to the conclusion that probably not, because we don't have that depth of games that people haven't already seen again, that we can go back to. We don't have like anything outside of like the 4-2 Duluth games that I think people really want to see, unless there's like a good goal that's scored. No one cares about the big save that we talked with James about the other day, other than James and his mom.
If we had like a robust video studio or something, we'd be able to put together some like highlight shows or something funny. Like here's all the times that Twin Stars fouled us 5-minute clip,
Here's that guy biting Ao's crotch.
Exactly, like weird shit like that. But here's the guy stepping on Steve.
Right, exactly.
Right?
So
like, that'd
I
be
think
kind of fun, but we don't have that kind of capability. So just like putting the Maikuju stream out there again for everyone to watch is like, yeah, watch it if you want, but it's not like it's must see TV.
Well, and you can just go on YouTube and watch it, or Maikuju and watch it yourself. But before we get into maybe something particular in the world of sport that you'd make appointment TV for to relive, I think from my standpoint, I'd really like to relive the 2002 World Cup when the United States made that run with the what they call it, Generation Next, which was the group of Eddie Lewis, Beasley, Bobby Convey, Landon Donovan. You had an aging Brad Friedel. You had Tony Sana.
And that's next with 3 X's too, because they were so sexy.
Exactly, they were. That was the what was supposed to move soccer in America to a world superpower. And I would love to watch some of those games over again. And you can see clips online, but to relive them, like the game against Portugal where Tony just throttled Figo, I would love to see that again, but like see it again in context and not just a clip of it.
Yeah.
So what's your appointment TV from a sports perspective? If you're flipping through the DV or the guide and a match popped up and you're like, oh yeah, I'm dropping everything.
Yeah. What's the tiebreaker between that and a rerun of Chopped? It's gonna be like, it's got to be World Cup, right? Like they have to start showing World Cup games. Especially ones where the United States were playing in. Like people get so excited to see that stuff. Even 2010, 2014. But for me, like I want to watch the 2010 semis, the 2010 finals. Like I want to watch Ari and Robin like miss a point shot.
Yeah,
like, just put it right into Iker Casillas' chest. I want to watch the 2014 Costa Rica and 2014 Chile teams play and make those runs where you thought like, wow, this is amazing. They could really do this.
Well, I mean, even like the Confederation Cup when we beat Spain and lost to Brazil in the final.
Yeah.
Like that'd be great to relive.
International competitions are the ones I want to see replayed, not like, oh, remember another Real Madrid versus Barcelona game that looks just like the others.
Right. But I think some Euro games and some World Cups, both men's and women's too. Like I wouldn't mind reliving some of those gold medal matches for the women's. Like those were really exciting soccer games.
Yeah, to stick to only soccer, like this is a good opportunity to educate people who are stuck at home and looking for something to watch, right? Like this is a good opportunity to be like, here are the best games that the United States men and the United States women have ever played.
I mean, we could probably belabor this topic for a while, but if you go back to 1989 when we qualified for the '90 World Cup and Paul Caligiuri hit what they call the shot not heard around the world because they were in Costa Rica and there was no live television. And there's just a grainy video clip of him hitting a volley to send them into their first World Cup since 1930. Like 60 years later, like that type of stuff is what you want to start educating people with and getting them like, here is where U.S. soccer today started.
The old NFL films? It was like the same guy, right? That would be the narrator.
Dave Sable?
Yeah, right.
Steve Sable.
Right? Like soccer in America or soccer in general needs that guy because they could just throw that guy in a booth, give him the social distancing he needs, whoever he is, right? And just throw some clips up there and let him tell the story. Whoever it is, they got to find who that guy is. Maybe it's you.
It's John Paul Della Camera, just by name alone.
And and then you start educating people. You start being like, wow, there's a rich history of soccer, not only in America but like tangentially via where Americans have played. So anyway, that could be cool, but it's not going to happen. So we'll just keep watching.
Quick aside before we move on.
Yeah.
1986 World Cup. First World Cup I ever remember watching. My dad taped them all on VHS.
Oh, so you just would play them.
Yeah, we'd play them. My mom would tape them during the day. My dad would come home from work and watch them. And I remember it was the first instance where, as a child, I ever saw sports rage in my dad because I was watching a Germany game with my mom just at home watching the game, and my dad walking in the house and me going, "Dad, Germany won!" And the dejection and anger on my dad's face if I waited all day to watch this game and you asshole ruined it for me. So now as an adult, I totally get it.
Uh-huh.
But the reason why I mentioned that is because before the first game, because it was the first World Cup televised in the United States, they had a breakdown of the rules of soccer for the common fan. It's like, soccer is a game played between two teams of 11 players with a goalkeeper on each side. And this is what offsides is. And there's 3 referees. And like they broke it down. And I was like, that's what they needed back then.
Mm-hmm. It's basically watching curling on the Olympics. You got to figure out like, what the fuck is going on?
Right, exactly. But I mean, like you needed that. I mean, to show that stuff again would be great. But anyways, so the next thing that I've seen on and a topic, we're going to talk about a little bit here soon because there's a connection with the club, but it's the rise of streaming esports online. Like I'm not saying like it just started now, but the rise of sports fans, like your average guy on the couch drinking some Budweiser, like watching his favorite pigskin team throw it around, going online and watching their preferred sport be played by others in a gaming or a virtual sport atmosphere. So this one is something admittedly I thought was so dumb until I actually was like, all right. I'm calling uncle here. I'll give it a shot. So I went on Twitch the other night and I watched 2 of the top 10 best players in the world play FIFA. And it was a whole nother world that just hooked me, Nate. And have you taken a peek at this type of thing, as a way to watch sports? And if not, is this something that you could see yourself getting into?
I'm going to say no and yes. Like I have used Twitch a number of times to watch or try to watch other gaming streams, like game demos, games that are coming out. Shout out to Brian Schreier. Like every once in a while I'll try to watch like some Magic the Gathering, like just because I get a clip through my Twitter where I'm like, oh, they said this is cool. And then it's like, it's not cool. It's really hard. it's like when you go to your friend's house back in the day and there's only one Sega Genesis and you have to
one controller
and you're alternating. You're like, wow, that's sweet. It's fun watching you play Mortal Kombat. Can I play now?
Yeah. Yeah. I think your mom won too.
Yeah, so that doesn't really excite me, but maybe if I have like a vested interest in the competitors, maybe if it's something where I can get behind their story or know who they are, and that kind of thing exists now, and we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah. So the thing that got me was the same thing that got me with live sports is watching people who are so good at what they do, and it's so good at what they do when it pertains to something that I feel I also do well, but it's at a whole other level.
Okay.
So in like the real game of soccer, I feel like even still to this day, and more so when I was younger, I can perform when I'm given a soccer ball. I can like do shit with it and like play at a high level, whether I'm physically not fit anymore or I'm just getting old, but I can still play soccer well. Right. Mm-hmm. But I'm never going to make a World Cup roster, right? Like never. In esports, I'm what I would consider a good FIFA player. I've played it since the beginning, since 1994, and when it first came out, and each year since, including being an official game tester for EA from 2010 to 2019 for FIFA. But these guys and gals are so damn good, and they do things that I would never even be able to do. So to watch it in some aspects for me is what intrigued me, because it was like, how did they pull that off? It's like watching Ronaldo or Messi with the ball at their feet. You're like, how did they do that? Like, I know how to get from point A to point B, but they went like a whole nother route that I don't even know how they got there,
which is funny to me, because you always say that like your favorite part of playing FIFA sometimes, it just like to unwind, is to sit down and do the skills trainings.
Right.
And that's where you're supposed to learn all that stuff that they can do so easily.
Yeah, but putting it into context, when you're trying to control
It's so hard.
The 10 players, it's a totally different ball game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what hooked me.
I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. For me, like, I feel like when I'm watching these guys who are so good, there's something in the back of my head that's like, yeah, well, they have literally nothing else to do.
Well, it's kind of their job, right?
Yeah, it's like, and it's part of why I stopped playing like Ultimate Team online. Like, there's such a steep curve between people like you and me who grew up gaming. We consider ourselves above average.
Yeah.
At FIFA or games in general, and then there's these people who can just like log on and crush at world class legendary difficulties and stuff like that. And you're just like, I just don't have the ability anymore or the time to get there. So like I can see what you're saying is like some of this is like, wow, you can pull that stuff off in the middle of a game. Like you can do rainbows and bicycle kicks frequently. Like that's amazing. I'm never gonna get there.
I find that like I do like those, like I play online FIFA and like I'll either crush some fucking rube or I'll go up against someone like that's like ranked in the top 100 in the world, and I just get my shit pushed in. And I play FIFA like a soccer player. So like I'll just lose games to people I shouldn't lose to because like
they're just going full press, like not good tactics.
They're playing like a gamer.
Mechanics of the game.
They're playing with mechanics of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a soccer fan playing FIFA, or do you want to be a gamer playing a different just
competing?
Insert whatever game here, and I'm just going to compete at it.
Yeah. So speaking of people who have nothing better to do, obviously the whole world really has nothing better to do. So let's dive into this, man. Like, Protagonist Soccer Blog is at the forefront of this. They started the lower league E-Cup. They put the call out to lower league clubs to compete in a online FIFA tournament, and of course Minneapolis City answered the call. We answered the call super hard. So we're sending our best FIFA player, who turns out to be Jonah Garcia. I don't know, how did you guys decide that Jonah was the guy?
So a couple things. So Max Stegward is actually the somewhat contested, somewhat self-proclaimed best FIFA player.
Really?
In the club. We have yet to make ends meet and figure that one out. We will one day. But they reached out. They're having it on 3 different platforms. So they're having PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and they're going to do a PC. I'm not 100% sure if Max will be able to play on PlayStation, but Jonah for sure has been our Xbox nominee. Okay. So that's how he got nominated. That's of course, both of the Olivers were like, me, pick me, because those guys outside of like I've come to the conclusion that outside of eating and sleeping and like taking a shit, they do nothing but soccer, whether it's play FIFA, coach it, play it themselves, like whatever, like watch it, scout it. So, but no, so Jonah was selected for Xbox. That's kind of how it worked out.
Did you guys have like a healthy debate via some sort of chat, or did you do a little internal tournament?
It was straight up. I know. So Jonah and I've talked about FIFA at length before. Yeah. So Jonah doesn't drink alcohol. Like he doesn't have any. His vice is FIFA.
Okay.
So like the money that he would spend on like going out and getting some beers, whatever, he spends it on the Ultimate Team in FIFA. That's his thing.
That's cool.
So like it's a no-brainer for someone who pays money to continue to be good at the game.
Yeah.
Is probably better than most people. So
well, let's talk about like Jonah has some stats.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, Jonah's got a player profile here. But
here's the thing: if I play Jonah and he sinks money into it, and I beat his ass on Xbox, that's a waste of money. I'm just gonna throw that out there now.
He's been wasting his money.
Yeah, might as well write me a check.
Yep, So according to this is all coming from Jonah. So this is kind of Jonah's own hype sheet.
It's the back of his player card.
He has purchased and played FIFA since 2010. I guess you got to make sure you say both. But this is the cool part. He's finished in the top 100 in the All Americas of the Winter League in Ultimate Team.
No, it's the Weekend League.
What? Not winter. It's supposed to say weekend.
Yeah, it's a weekend league.
Okay.
So it's basically like you train all week to have match days on the weekends.
Yeah, and he's always top 100 on multiple occasions. He prefers, I guess Jonah prefers like full on attack, like push the D-pad all the way to the right and put your team at full attack, and then he hits on the counter. And just like you said, John, he's one of those guys that plays less like a soccer player and more just like a straight gamer. He takes advantage of the loopholes in the game and how things work. He exploits weaknesses. He's a total FIFA skill player. He does all those. He's the guy that does the 1v1 moves.
He is. He
crossovers.
is. Right.
Right. Like on occasion, he'll build out of the back like you and I like to do, but he's more of a get a guy with 99 dribbling and just school the whole team.
Yep.
He apparently goes with a preferred 4-2-3-1 formation, and his favorite FIFA, he's got one. It's FIFA 13. Do you agree?
I mean, I asked him about why FIFA 13 when I kind of got the stats from him, and he started going into like some like silver coin stuff, and I was like, okay, don't like, sure.
Yep, never mind. I just made a mistake.
I felt like I like going to a mechanic and being like, yep, the oil goes in there and the washer fluid goes in there. And I put the keys in here and the gas goes here and I drive it. And then they start talking about like how air intake and torque. And I'm like, okay. Nope. Just, is my car okay?
Can you fix it?
But no, FIFA 13, from what I remember.
It's the year before I started playing.
I believe it was the first year that you could actually do more than just like play a season. So it had more of like the career type modes.
Gotcha.
It had there wasn't an online feature yet. I think that didn't come until like 15 or 16, where it was like the community to play online. I believe there was still like the Xbox Marketplace at the time. Or sorry, not the Xbox Marketplace, but the PlayStation Marketplace. But Xbox Live wasn't very robust yet either. So it was pre-online days. But I also remember a huge Easter egg about 13. It's why it's one of my favorites as well, is because there was a feature in the settings where you could turn off the commentary and just play the soundtrack while you played.
Oh, yeah.
So you could just listen to the music, and then you could at least on Xbox, you could download your own music to your hard drive, and it would play while you were playing, and it would rotate the songs in, and you could skip them and whatnot and go back and forth. So I remember that being cool, and that was the only year they ever had that.
Oh, well, there you go. Jonah's favorite team is Man City. I mean, that's fine.
For a guy who likes to dribble people one-on-one and hit on the counter,
that's
I see why. Yep.
He is strictly an Ultimate Team player, which means he pays to make his team better.
Yeah.
He has never tried the journey, which that makes two of us. And
I haven't even ever tried the journey.
And unlike, I don't know. I'm not using soccer as a role-playing game.
But it's different. It like okay, you have a lot of time on your hands now, or more time on your hands now. I challenge. I know you have a baby. I can see that. She's still sleeping, so hats off to her.
Yep.
But I challenge you to take some time now that we're quarantined to our house.
Take some time with Alex Hunter. Is that what you're saying?
Just give it a shot. Okay. But not last year's. The first year of it.
Okay. Jonah does not start a new year off by honing his skills with mini games. He just dives right into the games. He figures it out. Like, it's pretty much the same year to year. And apparently he claims to be better than current top FIFA player at the club, Max Stewart. Well, we're still got to work out a one-on-one on that. But Jonah is our guy for the lower league E-Cup put on by Protagonist Soccer. A lot of clubs are in this, man. St. Cloud Dynamo, but clubs from all over the place. DeKalb United. There's Livonia. I see there's the Gulls. There is Protagonists themselves. There is, there's tons. Swan Valley. I don't know who that is.
So obviously I talked to Jonah to get his stats. And he basically said that he hasn't gotten word yet on when he's playing, but what we'll do is we'll get all that info. then we'll make sure everyone knows when they can go watch him play, because this might be a scenario, Nate, where everyone is like, hey, I know Jonah Garcia. I'm going to go watch him play FIFA and work some guys. Maybe he gets drawn against, St. Cloud or someone closer to us, whatever. But then we'll bring Jonah on on the show to talk about his experience. And we've been trying to think about a reason to get Jonah on anyways, because he's never been on the show. So we'll bring him on and talk about that, but then we'll do a deep dive into who Jonah is, since we haven't really talked to him much since he's joined the club. So
yeah, I'm looking at this kind of like low res image they've got, but they're like 32 teams registered right now. I think they're looking for another 32 maybe. They're doing a full tournament, right? So Right now I'm looking at Cincinnati Dutch Lions, Palm Beach Breakers, Crescent City Football Club, that must be out of South Carolina, Union Dubuque, Livonia City. Like, these are not teams you've never heard of before for the most part. Some of them are in the NPSL, some of them UPSL, like DeKalb.
Some USASA teams.
Yep, but it's all lower league stuff. Is that Denton Diablos I'm looking at?
Yeah, I think they're in there too.
That's pretty cool. Anyway, so it's all teams that are like us or that want to be like us. So let's see if they can play FIFA like us.
It's weird that Duluth didn't raise their hand, saying that they have an esports team. So I don't know if you knew that.
No, they don't.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
No, they like the Timberwolves do, except they're the Duluth FC esports team.
Yes, they have an esports team.
It's the hot new thing.
It's a wonder where the money goes, Nate.
Well, you know what? We've been asking all the folks for years now to give us input on the shows that we do, and I'm going to tell you, John, we might have like a 0.05% success rating on that.
Maybe even lower.
It takes a lot for us during an off season and sometimes during the season to come up with the things that people want to listen to, and we feel like we've done all right, don't we?
Yeah, it's been okay.
Feels like people want to listen. But now
the numbers say so.
But now, like, we're running a little low on topics, and we put the call out, and people have helped. We made it super easy, and I like this swap to the format of making us kind of like a call-in show. We set up a voicemail box where anyone can call in and ask us the hard-hitting questions that they want, and we put it live on the show. So, John, let's get to our first caller.
Hi, my name is Andy Bisworm, and I want to check and find out, are all the players on the team still healthy? And is the Chicago game, has that been canceled now, that the one that the players were going to fly to? And what about the rest of the season? Is it still being played or postponed for any period of time? Those are my questions. Thank you.
So apparently, my parents love me.
Great first call.
Great first call. It was my dad. So to answer your question, Dad, so the players are healthy. We've practiced CDC and governmentally regulated rules around personal contact and social distancing. So we haven't trained for going on 2 weeks now. I know some of the guys are still getting together on their own. That's their own thing, but we officially have stopped training together. So all the guys are healthy. And Nate, why don't you talk about a little bit about the Open Cup game?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Open Cup goes, they were quite nebulous in their press release. They did say that given the unique nature of the competition, they suspended and all the teams that have suspended their seasons, they are going to look to determine future dates to allow the 2020 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup to be played. So no official date, but given that USL and NISA and NPSL have all suspended their seasons for something like anywhere between 2 weeks to 30 days. You can assume that it's going to be at least up until then.
So here's the thing. I've spoken to Johnny Freeston at the Harpos, and we've made an agreement that both clubs, ourselves and the Harpos, are going to refuse any official cancellation of the tournament,
You can't cancel us.
any official, hiatus into 2021, maybe making 2020 the lost year of the Open Cup. We refuse. So we've made an agreement in theory that the two of us will meet in Denver in the fall, which hopefully all this clears up by the fall.
Yeah.
And we will play each other for the 2020 U.S. Open Cup championships. And, and mainly it is somewhat of a joke, but also they do owe us the rubber match from us hosting them here. So that's kind of the plan, was another reason for us to go out there. But so in general, if I had my 2 cents, I don't think that the U.S. Open Cup is going to happen. And the reason why is because the MLS, I'm just going to throw MLS out there. Their season should already be well on its way. And what do we have? Only 2 games in, and then we had the break.
Yeah.
They're going to need some form of, they're going to not necessarily going to need, but they're going to call for some form of training period, which is going to end up being like a mini training camp where they're going to have to
regain their fitness,
regain their match fitness. And so MLS, like everything in the United States, is going to dictate what we're going to do for the Open Cup, because they're not going to want to force their guys into hurrying up for their MLS season, which is already postponed, just because of the fact that the Open Cup might run into a playoff situation. So I think that we're probably not going to have it.
Everything's crunched. It's going to be hard to fit in all the MLS games, much less.
Right.
Then you add in the layer of the Open Cup and all the MLS, all the other international tournaments that you're going to have to start up again.
Yeah, everything. So
Yep.
I don't think, but if it does happen, we already know that USL Championship and League One have already pulled out of the Open Cup completely altogether.
No way.
So what that means is that our matchup against Madison, at least from what I've read, is not going to happen if we beat Chicago, which would mean we would go straight into a match against an MLS team, which would probably be Kansas City in Kansas City. So the other thing too is that what else can this damn tournament do and this world do for us not to play in it?
It's all a cosmic conspiracy, man. That's a good question though. Did we get to all the answers?
No, so MPSL season. So so essentially we also run into problems with the MPSL season because of the fact that it's basically, I would say, 60 to 70% players that have to go back to college. So teams like ours are fully sustainable. Our guys we don't have those guys type problems. We don't have to host. We don't have to host players. We don't have to, our venue is pretty fluid because it's a college venue and we have a good connection with the athletic department there. We don't have some of the problems that other clubs are having. And also, we have a sustainable form of income in our merchandise and our club shop that will allow us to continue to make money, not a ton of money, right? But make money throughout this process by selling things online, like our Dazzle US Open Cup shirt that was posted online today and is flying off the shelves from what I hear.
Is it? That thing is wild, man.
I'm definitely gonna get one. I'm a sucker for a long sleeve jersey. But anyways, so there's 2 forms of people in 2 different camps for the MPSL. There's people like us. There's people like Stockade and Tulsa. All the people that we like in the MPSL that are like, we want to play. And then there's people who, I won't name any names, but let's just say we're the only team in our conference that probably wants to still play, that are like, this is serious. We cannot play. Like, we're already behind. Like, it seems a little bit more maybe like ego driven than like actually soccer driven. Like, if you can't bring players in, then maybe this is the year where you just rely on local talent, because everyone has local talent. It might not be as good as someone you bring in from another country or another part of the United States. Who cares? Let's just play soccer. So I know the league is having some discussions around what to do, but I would assume we're still going to play. But it might not be the normal. It might be something a little bit weird.
Yeah, I could see that. And it's hard to assume that everyone's going to be able to. I mean, our season starts late up here in the north, right? Like, Californian seasons have already started, Arizona, Texas.
Yeah, but those guys can still play later. I mean, it's going to be hotter.
They can, right? But what I'm saying is, like, we have a little bit of a cushion. Luckily, it might not affect us that badly,
right?
If in 2 months when we're supposed to start the season, we start it a week late.
Right, exactly.
But but I see what you're saying. Like, the season is already kind of crunched. We already need to finish up by late July, mid-July, in order to get the playoffs done and all that stuff.
Well, the other thing is, like, scrap the playoffs. Just have your conference winners.
Or you know what? It happens to us all the time. That, like, you make the playoffs and you can't fucking play a game because half your guys end up back at home.
Right. So why don't we just take that completely out of the equation and just not play the playoffs?
Yep.
Like, I'm one for, and I've said this before, I would rather win 25 league championships and maybe one national championship or one regional championship, but just to own your conference is what I would love most. I know people don't necessarily share my sentiment, but
no, I agree though.
But the playoffs in the NPSL are kind of a sham anyways, to be honest. I mean, it did get us to Detroit, and that was a game that everyone kind of wanted to see happen. And that was a really awesome experience. And we made some really good friends up there, but I don't really care. But so anyways, so that's it. Thanks.
Good first call. Thanks, John's dad.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for calling in.
All right, let's get to our second caller of the night.
First time caller, long time listener, love the show. I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but I think this is a fun one. Wondered your thoughts about the coronavirus being concocted by FIFA to give the leagues an opportunity to completely reorganize their country league schedules for the next 2 years, not to disrupt the 2022 World Cup taking place in November. But my real question is, since there's no football to watch over the weekends, I was wondering if you guys could share what your favorite games were to revisit, watch, and remember, and why. Looking forward to hearing about it. Thanks. Bye.
That is definitely an interesting conspiracy theory, and one that I haven't heard before, that the virus is all to make the 2022 World Cup look and feel natural, taking place on a weird off time. Not due to the fact that it was thrown in Qatar strictly because of all the money thrown at FIFA and the massive corruption, but really we're doing this for the virus. So
See,
it makes total sense. Makes total sense.
I took it a little bit different of a conspiracy theory on it. I think it was created by USSF so that they could mask the lawsuit that they were in with the women's team.
Yes.
And their now resigned leader in Cordero. So I think maybe that's it. But is what's that?
I said, yep.
So as
also
far as the
possibility.
So as far as like the game that I watched, talked about a little bit earlier on the show, I'm a sucker for that 0-2 World Cup. I talked about the game against Portugal, but I think that the most thrilling game that I'd love to relive again, because they're always really great games, is the USA Mexico second round or knockout round game between USA and Mexico, where we beat Mexico to then go on to play Germany. And then, obviously the phantom handball by Torsten Frings that never was called, which VAR would have put us into the semifinals of the World Cup. But yeah, I think that the 0-2 World Cup game, Mexico, USA is mine.
Okay. I think I said it before, earlier in the show. I think the 2014 Costa Rica run in the World Cup, all those games are great. Those guys, they should not have won.
No,
and then when they finally lost to, I think, Netherlands in the shootout, it was like, so close. And so I that's a heartbreaking run, but it's super inspiring. I love those Costa Ricans. I'll go with the Ticos.
All right. Well, thanks for the call,
John. We've also got a couple texts. I don't know how that worked, but.
Hey, what a time to be alive! Modern technology, man.
Someone was able to text us questions.
Not the purpose, but thank you.
Yep. So one listener asks, "What is your favorite memory while playing with Stegmans?" And thoughts on perhaps the Old Boys season outlook, having moved up to D2. I think this is all you, not for me.
Yeah, this one might be a year for me. So my favorite all-time memory of playing for Stegmans had to be remember FC Fargo, Nate?
Oh, I remember him.
Okay, so the year before City started, FC Fargo, we did a home and away with them, with the old boys. And on the away trip to Fargo, classic us, we took like 12 or 13 guys, pretty much everyone in their 30s, maybe one guy not in their 30s. So there's a player on Stegman's by the name of Chris Cruz. And for those Stegman's listeners, the Cruiser, this is where he got his nickname, the Cruise Missile. So speedy winger, but off the field, probably a pack-a-day smoker, and has a regiment of drinking a can of Coca-Cola, usually around halftime, which is not necessarily from a fitness perspective what you want to do. So we're at a high school stadium. There's probably about a couple hundred people there. And there's the news crew is there from the local Fargo TV station, and they're there doing the report, but they had to leave at halftime to get back to do their 10 p.m. show, whatever. So they only got video footage of the first half. So we end up scoring a goal. Chris Cruz scores the goal, and later on we watched the news. And there's still a clip out there. The newscaster just says, and that was a cruise missile. And so that was part A of my favorite memory is him scoring that goal. They beat us 2-1, and at the death, they scored a stoppage time winner. Jay Johnson actually scored the winner on us on a header. Oh. And Jay Johnson of the Dakota Fusion. Yep. Fame, former MPSL Gold Boot winner. So we got scored on by a guy who can score goals. Anyways, so we watched the clip. They have nothing of their 2 goals that were in the second half. And clearly when you're playing a bunch of 30-year-olds that don't train, we get off on the front foot. We control the game, but then the fitness levels take over, and then they ended up scoring 2 goals. But put that aside. So halftime rolls around. The news team leaves. They only get our footage. Looks like a totally one-sided game, but we lost 2-1. And then I'm in the locker room waiting for everyone to get in the locker room to talk about like adjustments for the second half, how we're going to handle the subs because we only have 2. Who's going to go in. We did a little bit of formation shift, all the coaching stuff. And I'm like, where the hell is Cruz? And no one, we're like looking around the locker room, can't find the guy. So one of the guys walks out of the locker room door because the locker room, we're at the high school, right? So the locker room goes out to the field and then out to the parking lot in the other door. So someone opens the parking lot door, and he's sitting out. It was hot as hell. He's sitting outside drinking a can of Coke that he bought at the concession stand, smoking a cigarette at halftime without a shirt on in front of a high school. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'll be in 2 minutes. Don't worry about me.
That's super. That's like some Dazed and Confused shit. That's like an 80s movie character.
Dude, it was so funny.
Or something.
And just like families with children.
I know that's Fast Times and not Dazed and Confused.
Families with kids walking in, and he's sitting there smoking a cig out in front of a high school. Yeah. It was so good. The best is he just took his shirt off because he was so hot.
Nice.
So that's my favorite segments memory. As far as how do you feel about the outlook moving up to D2? So the old boys, I left the old boys 2 years ago. And when we got promoted from D3 to D2, they've since gone down, 3 years ago, they've since gone down and gone back up. And I know that me leaving was kind of the middle phase of the original old boys. For those of you who don't know, it was the first ever Stegman's team that we started. So it is the true OG team. So a lot of us guys that started the club together have since moved down divisions and onto other teams. So this past season was the kind of the final year where I don't think there's any more originals left on the team. I know Dan is still rostered as their goalkeeper because you never have too many goalkeepers in men's league soccer. So they moved back up this year. So I know that they're now moving towards more of a youth movement. So we're getting a lot of newer guys in the club. Actually, a lot of the guys that came out to the city open tryout that we liked, that club president Dan Warner wanted to reach out to. So a lot of the open trialists from Minneapolis City are going to be joining up on the old boys, as well as some college players that didn't make our team from the preferred trials that we have. So they're reloading with talent. So I look for the old boys to finish top half of the middle. So just under promotion. That's not a slight, just saying that there's a lot of chemistry things you got to figure out. So potentially some guys that need to buy into the brotherhood and get that chemistry going. But I think the talent's going to be high, and they could surprise some people and finish in the top 2 as well, and get promoted to D1, where we then run into a problem with having 77s and old boys in the same division. So yeah, I think the outlook's strong. I think for the team's going to have longevity, because they're now getting younger, and we're bringing, more young blood into the club, which is great to make sure that the club continues to live on past guys like myself, Dan, and Nick. So I'm looking for some positives this year.
Nice, man. Well, we got another text question that asked Coach John and Nate.
So are you on the coaching staff too now?
Apparently.
That's great.
I am a youth coach.
Yeah. So you're a de facto Minneapolis City coach.
I coach my 13-year-olds, my U13 futsal team, as well as their Rev League Summer 8v8 team. So I'm a coach. Coach John and Nate, what do we do with youth athletes to keep them developing during this time? This is something I've been thinking about, John, because there's a whole class of kids that are not going to have their senior year experience. They're not going to graduate. They're going to walk. They're not going to do all that stuff. But that also means they're not going to play together for months at a time. What are the things to do alone or 1v1 from a great distance away that can keep them developing as soccer players?
Well, I think what you move towards is something that I'm a big proponent of. It's just be around a soccer ball as much as possible, and limit the gap between the uncomfortable and the familiar with a soccer ball. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you don't necessarily need to be going up against anyone. I think this is a time period where you can really sharpen your individual skills. So just working with the ball, moving it back and forth with your feet. If you're able to go outside where there's a goal, being able to shoot on a goal is great. Juggling, obviously. But just making up those games with a ball by yourself, whether it's outside in the backyard, whether it's, at a field alone, inside the house, just having your foot touch a ball as much as possible. Yeah. And make it unstructured. Don't make it where you have to sit down and do these drills and whatnot. Take that layer off and just get familiar with the soccer ball and make it more of an extension of yourself. So when you move into more structured play again, then you're able to do more things in a 1v1 setting, because you've been practicing them and you're more comfortable doing them.
Remain comfortable on the ball is what you're saying. What's your favorite mini game that you made up in your backyard when you were young?
It goes back to the story that Dan Hudeman tells about the first time that we ever got together as 9-year-olds for a weekend play date, when he came over to my house and I was nowhere to be found in the house. I was already in the backyard, and I had set up a bag of balls and some trash cans off in the distance. And I was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to stand behind the trash cans. I'm going to kick all these balls with my right foot and try to see how many I can put in. And then we're going to get the balls and shag them. And then you're going to kick it and then try, and I'll shag all the balls. And then we're going to do it with our left foot. And then we're going to keep doing that until we can get all the balls in the trash cans. And he's probably thinking can I call my mom and go home? But it was, that game was my opportunity to, start to figure out how to put proper weight on a ball with distance, instead of just passing a ball on the ground or shooting a ball at a goal. Yeah. And I loved it. I got hooked on it. And then FIFA 17 had that exact same fucking mini game. And I sunk so many hours into that mini game. And still to this day, I'll throw FIFA 17 in the Xbox and I'll play it because I loved that as a kid. So I'd say that's my favorite game.
All right, that's a good one. On to the next caller.
Okay. Next caller.
Hey, People's Pitch. This is Coach Steve calling in from the UPSL squad. Hopefully we have some games this year. People can come check them out, given this whole quarantine business. I have two questions. The first one is only for Biz, because he's an old man. And recently in the secret coaches group chat, we were talking about the differences between the Spanish 1918 flu and the current coronaviruses. And since you were alive around that time, I was wondering if you could tell us what was so different about it and why we should be less scared. Hopefully keep it a little more optimistic. And the second question is a bit open-ended for anyone and for everyone. If you could take anyone from Minnesota United's history, current, past, whatever league they were in days, and you could add them to this current team of City players, who would you choose and why? It can be anyone for any reason. Hope everyone stays safe with this whole epidemic out there, and I look forward to seeing everyone soon.
What?
Apparently, I'm over 100 years old. So thanks for the call, Steve. That was an interesting one, and appreciate you thinking I'm that wise. But to answer your question, the differences for me between the two flus, considering I was alive during both, was the fact that modern science, dude, we have healthcare that can actually, and we have the modern ability to create some sort of antidote for whatever's coming at us. So that's probably the main difference. So back in 1918, people died because they got a cut on their finger. Modern day science, that would be my difference between the two.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's. I think the other part of his question was the one that we
really should talk about.
Yeah, and that's any Minnesota United player ever in the history of Minnesota United. Who would you want them on Minneapolis City?
So I got one, but if you want to go ahead and start, I can finish.
Okay, so I'm tempted to go with a
Brian
player
Coleman?
yeah, right, one of the Colemans. No, tried that. One of the player that would have been around. He's been around with the club for 4+ years. Recently left. Now with Seattle, fan favorite, super nice guy. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, we've got a team that's playing this year with excellence too much, but some really good players to pick from. And if I'm trying to fill a need with Minneapolis City, I would probably pick the Grey Goose, Jan Grey Goose, to drop down into our squad, because I think he would boss our midfield. He'd be the rock, John. He'd be part of that spine that you want so bad. Or better yet, Ike Opara, right? Like these are guys that are top of their game right now. Miguel Ibarra would be the fan favorite choice and an emotional choice to put as like an all Minnesota United, all-time Minnesota United player, but you got to go with Opara or Grey Goose.
See, I go about it a different route. I go about the more logical choice for me, and that's Darwin Quintero. That guy would fucking destroy the MPSL.
That's true. See, now there we go. Now you're the guy that's playing the game.
Right. And here's the thing. Where have we not really been able to find a true number 10 or a true guy in a true position, and that's our number 10.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had Wexler there, who's probably better suited out wide. We had Martin Brown Jr. there, and he was just so good at our level that he wasn't really a natural 10.
Great answer.
We've had Ruiz Plaza there, who's also not a natural 10. Brian Lopez, for those of you who remember Brian Lopez, probably the closest thing
Bloomington
to a true
guy.
10, probably the closest to a true number 10 that we've ever had, but just chemistry-wise didn't work out well. So I'm going with the guy who is going to be completely untouchable at the MPSL at the 10, and that's Darwin Quintero.
All right, that's great. And we got one more call, right? Last call?
The last call.
Hey, this is former Stegman player Andrew Delane, current wild and crazy Crows fan. Couple questions that I thought might be interesting for the air and hear your infinite wisdom on. Number one, any creative ideas on how the single people are supposed to date creatively during this pandemic? Thought you might have some interesting answers there, or the masses could weigh in. Secondly, since this is kind of a time in which we're all not being able to congregate, get together, share the good times over some soccer, maybe to help us feel closer, we can encourage people to call in, write in with their favorite memories, either regarding Stegman's or the Mighty Crows, so we could all reminisce, feel closer together. Just my 2 cents. Everyone stay safe out there. Take care.
All right, that's that's a good question. How see, John, this is the thing, is you and I old enough that, at least personally, never even really had to fuck with OkCupid or any of that stuff, right? So
yeah, no Match.com for
no
this
Match.com. So even like Tinder, never on the phone. So
not to say that, like, now knowing what I know, that I could definitely have manipulated something like Tinder in my favor.
I'm not saying I wouldn't have used it. I'm just saying too old to have been in that, too old to have used it, right?
It's like going to the bar on crutches.
But you're
bound to land a Philly.
I think the crux of the question here, John, is how can you meet people and date if you can't leave your apartment?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, go ahead.
I would point people to the Netflix documentary, or the Netflix show Love is Blind.
Okay.
Have you seen this, John? Have you heard of this?
I have not. Please explain.
It's basically like these group of singles. It's kind of like half dating show, half science experiment, really. Like half 90 Day Fiance. It's 3 halves of a show. They try to find a match between each other and fall in love, but they never see each other face to face.
Okay.
So it's all about like building these emotional connections first before you're like, who is this person? And it's like, oh, you're awful. But but anyway, it's like I don't know. I would liken it to that. Like, how do you know if you even really like someone? I guess you got to hang out with them and talk to them on the phone, old school style, like we used to do in high school, or FaceTime them or whatever. But like, do something you like together separately. But
so here's my take on it. So say you're a 20-something, maybe early 30-something.
Sure.
And you're living in like you got a full-time job now. You're not like a college student. You're living in a nice place probably, but you're all living in a complex together. So if you're gonna get a virus in a complex, you're probably gonna get it anyways. So. Or you're all healthy in the complex. So it's kind of a roll of the dice. But what I would do is use it to my advantage. So I would point out that that the good-looking girl or guy that I saw in the common area, or like around the complex, and I would use the opportunity for me to be one of the only people in the vicinity to be able to gain interest in during this time period. So then I would date within my commune or within my quarantine.
You're saying just embrace the ecosystem and accept that you're going to get sick. And
no, not accept that you're going to get sick. What I'm trying to say is that person you might not have necessarily potentially had a shot with because of the fact that there were other options, other fish in the sea.
Gotcha.
Now you're one of the only fish in the sea. So shoot your shot with the person that you thought maybe from a distance that you had no shot with.
Oh.
Because their guard may be down and you can slide it right in there, and you're now on the A list because of proximity. And you can share resources. Like, hey, I got a couple extra packets of ramen. You want to come over and watch a movie and eat some ramen? You gotta always find your ways to cheat the game, man. And that's my way to. That's probably my suggestion.
Nice. All right.
But as to the second part, I think it'd be a great idea, Andy. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are ancillary to the inner workings of the club that have a specific story as to how they got started following the Crows. We've talked to a few people in the past about that. We talked to Nate with the Citizens and kind of how he got started. Really interesting story. I mean, we've all heard the stories about how the club has started itself, but maybe if we can get some callers to call in and tell us how you got started with the club and then obviously what your favorite memory was. There'll be a lot of NPSL championships in there, but I think it'd be really cool to listen to how people got started up with the Crows and then go from there.
Yeah, that could be super fun. All right. Any more calls? Is that it?
That's it. We're done. Thanks, callers. That was good.
That was a fun bit. I think we'll be trying to do this every week, putting the call out for people to call in, and we'll, if anything, we can do a quick little, 20-minute, half-hour-long call-in show thanks to all of our listeners. So that'd be awesome.
And I think once the season starts, it'd be a really great way for people to ask some questions about what they saw at the games.
Totally. Well, that is going to be all for this week's show, folks. Thanks, as always, to our show sponsor, Summit Brewing Company. Your local swig house is definitely closed, but so what? You're still able to get over to your local liquor store or get some delivery of your local liquor store if you're lucky and buy some Summit to help you ride out this really weird time. So whether it's a specialty seasonal brew like Maibach or just the staple award-winning EPA, there are plenty of options for you to grab. Summit, a more meaningful brew since 1986. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, maybe it is time to give to the club that gives back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game, and we'll be ready and waiting for them to start playing it again in playing events in partnership with community centers around the city. So consider a tax-deductible donation to a true city-focused organization. Folks, if you dragged your feet, memberships are still available, but they've gone up to full price. Regardless, it's never a bad time to become a Minneapolis City member. For the same price as 5 24 packs of toilet paper, $80 is going to allow you to support the club, and you're going to get some cool stuff in return, which is, of course, the membership scarf, the card that gets you money off the club shop and deals on Summit, our official game day bar, whenever that reopens. Plus, you get a vote on important club matters. Visit mplscitysc.com and make it happen. Hey, is there anything you want us to cover? Give us a call. Our phone lines are waiting and ready to hear your beautiful voices. Or you can send us mail. You can hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. If calling in is more your speed. So again, the number is 612-460-5683. That is 612-460-5683. Call in, ask a question, and you'll get on the air. And as always, you can hit the club up at MPLS City SC. And that does it for this week. I am Nate. That was John. Hey, hang in there, folks, man. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and it's always good to journey down these tracks together. That was cheesy as hell.
You got hooked. From a safe distance.
Poster burning maple weeds, cradle major keys. Thinking back, I've been major since the minor league. So supreme, too much sauce off my olive NMDs. I could staple steez, bend the goat so I get the cheese, never fall. Rake them leaves and make sure every moment gets seized. And everything I see is make